I am going to be doing my 5th house flip, and you're about to hear from somebody who has wholesaled for 5 years. They have fixed and flipped over 200 properties for 5 years, and now they are a hard money lender. That would be Hard Money Joe. And before we get into today's video, you got to hear one very important thing from him. For the obvious reason, getting multiple bids is just to see prices, but like, is there a psychology behind it when you're flipping of why you get multiple bids? Is there something you're looking at?
Yeah, I think it's peace of mind and also just verifying that those numbers are coming pretty similar. As you build up a relationship with your contractors, you don't have to go and get three bids on every single one. Plus, you're going to burn out your good contractors if they know they're always competing. But I think it's, they kind of have that old adage of you get three bids, you don't accept the most expensive one, you don't accept the cheapest one, you're looking at that one right in the middle.
Ah,
Well, I think that's always it's useful, and I thought for this process too, it really help you guys see, what the bids are coming in at.
that right there is my main man, Hard Money Joe. We are going to be flipping this property together. Thank the Lord. I have somebody now in my back pocket who's been helping me, and they're going to be doing this flip with me. So you're going to hear in this video, right? In fact, I wrote it down. I don't want to lose it. We're going to compare bids. So we had multiple contractors come out there, and you're going to hear, why we chose to do multiple contractors, and we're going to go back and forth from the bids. So one contractor charges this much for electrical, this one charges this much. And it is crazy to be able to hear his mindset. He's done 100, 200 flips, and to be able to go back and forth on this stuff. Then we're going to talk about where to save costs. This is something that as a new flipper, I've never really done. I just kind of take the budget as it is and go forward. So where can we shave a little bit of the cost? 3, we've got to permit this. So we're going to be talking about the permit process. 4, how to find a contractor. Guys, I did some Q&As on this channel, and probably one of the top comments that I see, because I'm a beginner house flipper myself, but you guys are asking me, how do you find a good contractor? I actually asked him towards the end of this video, you're not going to want to miss it. Hey, you got started in this, you've done 200 flips, like, how did you go about finding contractors, and what advice would you give to my viewers? So incredible. I mean, this is just crazy knowledge you're going to get from Hard Money Joe, and it gets even better because we're also going to talk about how we purchased this house for less than we originally had it in the contract for. So we had it contracted for a certain price, and he's like calling me the whole time like, hey, I'm gonna get this cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I'm like, how do you do that, right? So we're gonna hear how he did that and what happened. Then we're gonna go through all of the projected profits, and we're gonna run through a profit calculator. So it's a calculator that he's built out. It's one that I provided free on this channel, but we're gonna get to hear him go through how he analyzes these deals. And let me just spoil everything. This one's looking at least about $100,000 profit, which is cool. And at the end, I've got a very special announcement on how the Ground Up House Flipping channel here is starting to partner with, some vendors across the country to help you get into the flipping game. No cost to you guys, but a very special announcement at the end of this video. So this is a video, I'm just gonna let it play. Me and him are going through the budget. It's just like basically nobody's around, but I recorded it for you guys to listen to us go back and forth, and then what we actually decide to go through. So listen to that, take a bunch of notes. This is a video you're going to probably want to come back to multiple times. It's the most important. Okay, at the end of the day, when you hear about issues with flipping and not making money, I would be willing to bet, and he talks about it here, 90-95%. And he's the hard money lender, but 90 to 95% of those issues with flipping or losing out on money or profits has to do with contractors. Underselling bids, not bidding correctly, and just flat out leaving you. So he has some crazy tips on how to make sure to protect your money when, working with or negotiating with builders. So guys, I ain't no guru. I am documenting my house flipping business from the ground up, the only one giving raw info, and now I'm getting an actual seasoned flipper for you guys for free. I hope you enjoy it. And the only thing that I ask throughout this video is at one point you just hit that like button and you comment something down below that you learned in this video that you didn't know, or just thank Hard Money Joe, and wait till the end for that special announcement. So let's get going, homies.
Here's the two bids.
Okay, and this is from Mike. He was the one who actually walked with us, and
Yeah, let me pull his up first. So one thing I would say is it's always good to indicate. You'll see it a lot with contractors who, maybe you haven't worked with, maybe you're new, maybe it was just a recommendation. You have to be very careful that a contractor just isn't giving you a kind of an immediate bid, and then they will make a lot of change orders during the job because the contractor wants the business. So if
Yep.
they send you a bid at 40K, but kind of in the back of their mind, they know that thing's going to rise up to 55, 60K, when they add those change orders, but they've already got the job, they've already started, you're not going to pull them away from the job. You're just going to end up, having to come out of pocket.
Yep.
And you do find stuff as you do work that does increase some cost. But a good contractor is going to be able to spot that, like we're saying, from the beginning and package most of that into that bid because
Yep.
that'll burn you. And that's really why we keep that contingency in there too, as you'll see on all the deals, because almost every time it does go over, 5-10% what the original rehab bid was.
Yep. And he went over that quick, but the contingency, so on hard money, I broke this down multiple times on this channel. I didn't know why when I first got it, but let's say my my bid for contract work was 70,000 bucks. I looked over and what the lender was giving me was, let's just put it at 77,000. So they were giving me a 10% contingency, and I'm like, well, that's, and when you're talking about 70% deals, 75% deals, that could mean more money out of pocket because you're going off the lender's budget. So when he talks about contingencies, they do give you a little bit of a buffer, which, believe it or not, my budgets have been spot on. We've had to use the contingency on every flip though, because not really like unforeseen things. It's more like, hey, let's just add this or let's do this extra mile, and then we pull from that contingency. So that, for a lot of you new people out there, that contingency he talks about is a little bit extra that the hard money lender is going to put on the loan so that they want to make sure you have enough money basically there so you're not forfeiting on this thing.
Yeah, most of the time it does get used.
Yep.
So
And it can just sit there.
yeah, it can kind of hurt on the if you're buying a deal above that 70,
Yep.
percent range, it's going to increase your out of pocket. It can hurt a little bit, but if you're buying a really good deal and you have that extra funds in there, it's a nice relief that when your contractor tells you they found something that
Yep.
you have that little buffer there and you're not coming out of pocket anymore. So
All right. So this is Mike. He was our first bid and we both liked it, and him. But
yeah, Mike is great. He's done a bunch of houses for us. One of the reasons we went through him too was because they actually did a burn house for me about a year ago, and that was a true burn house. That was probably 35-40% crispy.
oof.
So he's got a lot of experience with burn houses, and that one was a challenge. We still made money a little, but it was definitely a challenge.
Okay.
So yeah, and again, you can as you get more experienced, a lot of the bigger items when we were doing flipping full time, a lot of the bigger items we would get them to remove from the GC bid, and I think you've kind of done that too. When we recommended Freddie to you for the foundation, that's you really don't need your contractor to handle that, right? Because they're just project managing. So a lot of the bigger items, the major items, your foundation, roof, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, a lot of those you can have really good subs or GCs that can come in there before they start doing everything and price those out, and then you don't have the extra upcharge a GC is going to charge you when we're doing the major items. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. And that's
yeah,
the route
so
I've gone, is the GC route, on all of this. But
yeah, and if you have a good GC, what it's really doing is you're paying for the you don't have to go to that house every time your flooring guy shows up, every time your framer, your painter. If you're managing the project 100% yourself, you have a lot more time allocated to that. And a lot of flippers, they have W-2 jobs, so they can't go there on a Wednesday afternoon to meet the guy laying the LVP.
yep. Yep. And that's I would imagine, not imagine, that's when I read through the comments and look at stuff, a lot of times, dude, you're getting killed.
Yeah.
That GC is making money, and I get that, but I am a busy person working multiple other income streams, and so I
Yeah.
don't even, the only reason I'm going to these houses is to film it for this YouTube channel. I think, and that's another reason I want to get back to what I did with the first flip, was a passion flip with my wife. Then we'll go a lot more, and
Mm-hmm.
you could almost go that route of just finding your own contractors or whatever, but the GC for us works because it's just getting handled. I mean,
Yeah.
if
It's
I filmed
what's your time.
everything, you guys would be shocked at how little like involvement I am in these flips. He's just taking care of it. It's just done, and some of them are in 3-4 weeks are basically done.
Yep. Yeah. It just depends how involved you want to be. If you're going to and what your time is worth. If you're going to the house once a week and you have full trust in your GC is doing the work,
Yep.
and it's worth paying. Their markups aren't as big as a lot of people think too. A lot of these contractors are marking it up, 10 or 15% from the total, the total job.
Right.
And it's why a lot of these contractors don't want to work with investors, is because, we nickel and dime them so much and try to squeeze out every last dollar where they can't make a living on it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's having a good contractor is like I've always said, is the key to this. So yeah, here's Mike's. We've got a lot of experience with Mike. We just got to put everything on here, and then I can kind of go back to the email too, and he breaks down what the potential overages are, change orders could potentially be.
Okay. And our big expense right out of the gate, you see there is drywall.
And I think what he does, I actually haven't run down this fully. A lot of what they're going to do is they're going to break you down by room.
Yeah.
So even
Which is
on
nice.
even on the ones where it doesn't need work, like the third bedroom here, they might not add anything. Let's kind of have a look down here. Okay, so we'll work our way. I'm trying to find the total here. I think it's 61,000.
Right there.
Yeah, 61,345. So we can go from the top, and then it'd be nice to compare this, some of these lines to the other bids.
Yeah, and we'll do that. But me and you were talking on the side, for multiple days before this, and you were even thinking about talking to him about maybe getting this number down a little bit. So while you're going through things, like in the past, I know you've done 100 flips. What are things that you see or whatever where you're like, oh yeah, I've done this before. We're able to save a little bit here. Like, what were those things, as we go through this, that you could educate people on ways?
Yeah, well, first of all, a lot of it is when you first get that bid, is there anything that you can sub out and do, like the HVAC? I think here he has. We'll go down to the HVAC cost, but those items, and then sometimes they'll put stuff in there that might not be necessary. So you're just looking at them and saying, I don't think we need that. If we do need that, let's take that off the rehab bid, and maybe we can add that at the back and just kind of have that, on the side, because it's very difficult once you agree to the bid and they get working to go back and say, hey, you didn't complete these baseboards. Let me have the $1,200 back. Right?
Yeah, right.
Because you're working off the schedule of payments, depending on what percentage you have up front throughout the job. So it's good to just really look at the bid, find out, where you want to go with it, what can be removed before they start.
So right away, it says re-insulate home /if. So that's if needed.
Yes, but I do. Let me have a look back at this email. So here you put insulation. When we replace the sheetrock, we'll be able to see if the insulation is damaged or not. Could be around $1,900 depending on how much. If any needs to be replaced, the ceiling insulation is already included. So this insulation here is for the ceiling, so it's already included. This could potentially be another $1,900.
Okay,
right?
And that's like the main level. Okay, yeah, where the water was spraying and.
Yeah, we know the insulation up top is already damaged, right? Because
Yeah.
we got up there, we took a look, and it's all, it's all smoky. So we know that. So, so that's already included. Could potentially be another $1,900 if they open it up. And that's what I mean by kind of outlining what are the potential change orders.
So then it looks like 10,650, and that's for the new roof and structural. So that whole bonus room that torched, we're looking at 10,650 to get that replaced.
Right.
Man, that's a lot of work, but at the same time, for those guys, I think it's pretty quick work. But it's going to be a lot of lumber. Lumber's kind of crazy, plus all new roof and all that.
Yep.
So that
that's
looks
the biggest.
about right.
That's the biggest part of the house.
It really is.
We'll compare it to the other one too and see how they line up. But
I know I'm really interested to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So drywall repairs, obviously, they're going to have to strip it down to the studs anywhere that was damaged, and especially anywhere that was water damaged. Here he doesn't have a kitchen, but I'm sure it's probably at the bottom because the kitchen is the other big one.
Yeah, I think I saw slabs and stuff down somewhere, but master bath, we're gonna redo it, and I think we should. It didn't need it, but it was old and dated and brown and.
Yeah, I made sure that both of them included the putting quartz instead of that granite, because that's a big one. I think the kitchen sells it, because it's already, the layout of it's already perfect. It's, open plan, but you're going to have a straight shot to that kitchen. So, and they say, especially if it's a family home, the two things that sell the house are the kitchen and the master bathroom.
So pour your effort into that, right?
Yeah, because the your better half makes the decision on whether you pull the trigger on the house.
Gotcha.
So those are always, if you're going to put money into it, put them into the kitchen and the bathroom if you're trying to spread that budget.
New tile for tub.
Yeah. So this is that master. So new tile, shower and tub. They're going to put all new surround in that walk-in shower, and then all that tile around the bathtub existing, that's going to be taken out and replaced.
Sweet. And then new tile for tub, that's bathroom 2. So is that new tile shower and floor?
For the second
Yeah.
bathroom, yeah.
Okay.
So,
$3,000 for a bathroom tile job. Okay.
yeah, we normally estimate about 5K for a bathroom.
For a bathroom, yeah, that's kind of what I've seen on my. And is that with glass? That's the one thing we're looking to. Is a lot of our showers have been like no glass.
Yeah, I mean, if those kind of frameless showers, that just the glass panels, if they're, they can add up. They can be expensive.
I know we've been just keeping them open, and then I guess the buyer's got to put
Yeah.
curtain
If you make
rod
it look
in
good enough and don't put the glass, and it's just open, you can still sell it.
Right.
So there's a bunch of zeros here, but exterior, we had that fence go down.
Yep.
I told him we really want to power wash the entire house and also that driveway, get a circular wash on there,
For
really
sure.
help with the photos and clean it up. The electrical ended up being a little bit more than we thought. He said it was a little bit more damaged than we first thought. It's one
Right.
thing that increased the cost, and also the HVAC.
Yeah, and let's talk about the electrical too, because I mean that's our biggest, probably not mystery, but like I think it probably could be one of our biggest. Like if we had more costs come, just lightning strike could have chased them wires down. Meters already out, but the good news of this, and I saw in the comments too, people were like, "Oh, it's going to be way more," and this. And that. We did have, so he had his actual electrician go over there, trace out the wire, ohm them out, check them, see what's good, what's not, and that's why it is more money than we thought, but that should be a pretty accurate bid of what we'll see for electrical cost.
Yeah, I can't see that electrical number on this bid going up very much.
Yeah.
And I did actually look at the HVAC on the other bid. You'll find it interesting.
Okay, so find it interesting. Perfect. So we're at 4,500 on HVAC here for everything. Okay.
So flooring, and again, on Mike's bid, he's estimating that we can pull up a couple of those, quick lock on the vinyl plank and just match it. He thinks he can find it.
Sweet.
And just to keep that flooring. The other bid we had, I told him just to price it out to replace it.
Okay.
So that's coming in, and because with that LVP, you're looking at maybe $1.50 for a good LVP, good width of it, and then
$1.50 a foot. It's going to be a lot of it, but
it's going to be a lot. Yeah, but I mean, remember half the house is carpet too.
And I see it there. So you got 1,500 square feet of carpet at $3 a foot. And that's probably a nice pad, decent carpet.
Yep. So if you replace the vinyl, it's another $1.50, $2 plus your labor, which is about the same for it. So
about $3 a foot. So you're at another $4,500 if we had to do vinyl. So that could be some.
Yep.
If he can repair that, that's going to save us over $4,000.
Yep.
Okay.
So then the interior painting in garage.
And I like how he said that, by the way. I think a lot of contractors go in there and think, oh, burn house water, LVP, it's trash. Let's rip it out. And so it was when I remember sitting in there when he said that, like he was the one really pushing. I think we can save it. I think we can save it. It looks good. He was stepping on a lot of it. And it was cool to hear a contractor actually say something like that to save. Because that's a huge moneymaker for contractors. Because flooring, their guys can come in and do that in a day. Like the floor, you know what I mean? And so, not saying it's happened to me, but I just I was kind of taken back when he said that that stuff is basically waterproof. He said they take that stuff and dip it and hold it in buckets of water, and it comes out and it's supposed to not warp if it's good LVP.
Yeah, that's how they market it, right? Waterproof.
So that could be a big savings. Okay, cool. Tile flooring, that's in the kitchen, correct? 425 square feet?
Yes.
Yeah, it's got to be because the other master and all that. Perfect.
And that kitchen will look good with new tile in there.
Yep.
So then the painting, so he's put 3,200 square feet there, $1.40.
That's a good deal for interior paint.
Yep.
I remember we were going to paint the inside of our house, and we were getting quotes at like 10 to 15 grand for that stuff. Like, yeah. I know who I'm calling for interior paint. $140 a foot. That's a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be curious. Everybody's got to comment down below, like what, and no matter where you're at in the country, like what are some of your going rates for paint, for tile and floors and bathrooms and stuff? It'd be interesting to see.
Dude, seriously, and a lot of people don't realize that different markets have different prices. Like for foundation here in Houston, we can get $190, $180 per pier. Yep. But then just down the road on houses we lend on in San Antonio, those are coming back at $350 a pier.
$350 a pier, yeah.
because
Crazy.
of the way right, they have a lot more stone in their ground. So when they're tunneling under, it's a lot more labor. So there's different prices in different cities, different painting costs, different framing. Everything has a price local to that market.
Yep.
A lot of people don't realize that. They might say, well, I could get this done for X amount, or maybe in your market you could. It just depends where you are.
Yeah. We're talking same state, but two
Yeah,
and a
that's
half
same
hour
state.
drive to the west and you're 150 to $180 a pier more. It could be a lot. So cool.
So I don't know if this painting here on the garage includes that sheetrock, or that sheetrock is back up in the original bid. But if you remember, there's a bunch of sheetrock at the top of that garage, which is also coming down.
Yep. Yep. All right.
Here's our quartz and backsplash for the kitchen.
Okay. Port. Yeah. And okay. It's quite a bit of countertop too.
Yeah, he didn't put the like a linear feet or anything. I can't remember how big it is, but seems about right. It'd be a nice quartz, like a Carrera or
Yep.
whatever.
And then 1,500 for backsplash, tile materials.
Yeah,
Damn, $1,000 for trash haul. That's a pretty good deal.
yeah. I'll probably just put a little dumpster there, and then this is, I guess, post cleaning, the 375. Once it's all
Yeah.
done, we'll get a crew to come in there and clean it up, ready for photos.
Okay, so we're at 61,345. Let's hop over to the next one.
All right. Remember, we escrowed so we could bring little out of pocket, right? We did 52,000 is what we escrowed. So anything above 52,000 at the very tail end of the job, we would have to come out of pocket on that.
Yeah, and you're the hard money lender, so that's not typically what people are gonna see on their loan. It's cool. So, and again, I'm gonna be doing this flip with Hard Money Joe. So every aspect of it, we're gonna document how he runs his business. So when it comes to that hard money loan, that's the only difference, guys, is that like we have this bid, but we basically just escrowed it at like 52 grand or something. So if it goes over that budget, me and you will basically be paying that out of pocket. So it's just a little bit of a different deal.
Yep.
But that and again, newer flippers and stuff, you're gonna have to go off these budgets plus whatever the budget of the appraiser goes, of the hard money loan.
Yeah, just make sure that your contractor's budget is good too, because most of the time the lender is going to be able to spot something that doesn't add up. If they put a brand new 4-ton unit in there, whatever market you're in, they put $2,500. They're going to know that you can't replace the HVAC for $2,500.
Yep. So when you're getting your hard money loan, if you find a contractor and he's so freaking dirt cheap and you love it, you submit that and you're thinking, cool, that you do the cash calculator and you put in your $40,000 renovation, and they come back and they're like, no, it's going to be 58,000. You can't be like, well, I'm only doing 40. What they say is kind of what you go off of. So it is better. And as you guys are seeing here, this bid, did you see it's 5 pages with 100 line items like that? That was my biggest lesson learned, is I was just turning in just a general bid, 62 grand. They're like, no. We want to see every single line item down to doorknobs, to light fixtures, to, all that, because they break it down like that too.
And you wouldn't believe how many times we have like wholesalers submitting us their rehab to fight,
Right.
So they'll get the thing and say, hey, how are you coming up with 58? And then they'll say, this is our rehab, and they'll send it to us as the wholesaler, and it's 20K cheaper, but
Yep.
It's just unrealistic, or it's numbers that are based 4 or 5 years ago.
Yep. Or they just are attaching one.
Yeah, and you understand why, because they're they want to squeeze the deal through, and the
Right.
wholesaler knows that the numbers have to work according to the percentage of the value of that property. So they're doing everything they can to try to increase the value of the ARV, and they're also trying to reduce the total cost on the rehab, so that those numbers can work for them and their lender.
Yep. All right. Well, estimate number dos. All right, we're going to get into that second bid, and this is where it starts getting crazy, because you're going to see some vast differences. And then you get to hear Hard Money Joe, how he kind of battles that. Then we're going to decide which builder we're going to use. And yes, on the channel coming up here soon, we're going to go out there with the actual general contractor and go through everything. So I will be documenting this, and then I'm just going to be picking Hard Money Joe's brain throughout this entire thing. So you're going to get expert level flipping for free, because I'm going to document the whole thing. So again, if you would, hit the like button, I'm really putting it out there. I make a lot of mistakes. I'm very raw and honest about everything on this channel. And the only thing that helps me is when you guys hit that like button. And again, comment down below. What have you guys learned, or what follow-up questions? That's probably most important. Can I ask Hard Money Joe throughout this process so that you guys can get your questions answered? And again, I've got a very, very, very special announcement at the end of this video. Not only are we going to talk about, how to get these houses for less and profits, what we're looking at, but I got a special announcement on vendors for you to use. So you do not want to miss that at the end. And if you haven't subscribed to the Ground Up House Flipping channel yet, are you living under a rock? Come on, homies. Let's go back.
All right, here we go. All right, let me see if this is the updated one. We went back. Yeah, this one we went back more though. This is the total of this one was 62.
But you got a discount.
But yeah, this is part of this group that we lend to. They give their members a discount. I think they're nationwide. They're called Lifestyles.
Okay.
So this contractor does a lot of work for them. They do, a ton of deals. We haven't personally used this one, but this comes from someone we do a lot of loans for, and they recommended that we get with them and utilize.
Explain that, because you were telling me this, and I'm like, what in the hell? Just so the viewers can, after they watch the video, maybe they can research in their market. But what is Lifestyles?
So Lifestyles Unlimited is a group, kind of like a training group, but they do have a lot of value to them. Really for investors who want to build up a rental portfolio, they'll handhold your way through that. So they have a bunch of vendors, they'll have contractors, they vet them contractors. If they have any complaints or any issues with their members with the contractors, they'll take them off the vendors list. They've got lenders on there who are vendors who will provide loans on these deals. Their agents go out and try to help you find the deal. So they work with the wholesalers, they work with the sellers. They calculate it all to make sure it's a decent deal and then it's going to cash flow. And I think you pay an annual fee, and then every year you pay a fee, but they really kind of do it step by step, all the way up until the house is remodeled. They'll actually list it for you, vet the tenant, get the tenant in place. Will happen.
Cool. So you loan for some of and so they hooked you up with the.
Yeah. So we have an agent there as a rock star, and he does, 10 or 15 houses a month. He sells them to his members. He's the agent at Lifestyles.
Sweet.
And I was out to eat with him. I was like, who's your best contractor right now? Who are you recommending to your guys who's on your vendors list? And this was who we sent over.
Sweet.
We'll go kind of from the stock. I think the pressure washing was exactly the same cost, wasn't it? $275.
I think it was. It was right at that 250, 275-ish. Yep.
So then we have the roof repairs.
Caulk seal, roof jacks, turbines, air hawks, tap down. So please note, additional funds may apply upon inspection of the roof. So
this is one thing that we'll verify with him. Like, what's the max that you could do on a change order? So if you look at Mike's bid, I think it was 7,500 for the roof, just for that portion. So we know it's going to fall between that 5,500 to 75.
Well, not only that, but it was and maybe it's later on in here, but it was 7,500 plus 25. Or I don't remember. I remember it being 10,000 something. And that was for the shingles and all the lumber to repair the roof.
Yeah, correct. So it was 7,500 for the new roof and 3,150 for the
structural.
Yep.
So are they saying 55?
No, I think the 5,500 is for the just.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah, that's massive difference.
But the rafters and decking are also part of the roofing, so they're gonna have to replace a lot of that, board underneath the shingles.
It does say replace damaged rafters and decking, though.
Yeah, we can clarify that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's just the roof. So now his AC, if you look here, was, let me see if there's another cost here. Okay, no, I thought there was an additional cost on there. So he's saying AC is $2,650 for the maintenance.
But that also says standard service and clean out of unit. And replace damaged ducts and vent includes. Yep. So, all right. It's going to be interesting because he's going to have to catch up on some costs somewhere because it's the same price, but he's a lot cheaper so far on the front end.
You'll see where the cost gets made up.
All right.
And then we have the electrical issue. I told him that it might come in more when we spoke to him after seeing Mike's in 4,000, but he kept the bid the same, and he also said that will include the permit on the electrical issue. Plumbing issues, of course, when it gets a little bit hot, a lot of that PVC or whatever can get a little bit messed up. So any kind of changes you need to make there. His demo's higher, 2,800. Yep. The debris kind of bounces out. I think we had $1,000 for dumpster. Fence repair, again, very similar cost. I think Mike's was like 250, 275.
Yep.
Drywall repairs. And this you see here.
That doesn't include the drywall. Oh, it does.
Yeah. For the this should be for retexturing and everything.
Because Mike's drywall was like 8,000.
Look. Oh, well, yeah, 8750. So there's the big difference right there, right?
And then new interior.
But look at this. Look
Well,
at the
this
difference
guy's
in paint.
bids have been cheaper on just about everything except for interior painting's a lot more, I think.
Yep. Some paintings a lot more. Also, did Mike put to do the baseboards? I can't remember. Did he have 1500 in there?
I know we talked about it in the video. I can't remember if he did or not.
Yeah, that was another thing he was looking at potentially saving. But I think once
I
we
think he
went back
did.
in there,
I think he put
yeah,
it in there.
I think we looked at it and said that those baseboards are too swollen. We're gonna have
Yep.
to. So I think that cost is pretty similar. But yeah, the painting for the two is considerably different as well as the drywall. So whether these balance out a little bit, I'm not sure. He also has the sheetrock in the garage, 1200.
Yeah, and he added a lot like the stairway handrails and under the stairs closet, you know.
Yep. Here's the kitchen repairs. So do you remember what Mike's was? It was like 5,700, I believe. So
And
we've got.
yeah,
Yep.
he separated them with countertops and backsplash. This guy's doing it together.
Yeah. So I think the Mike's was like 55, 5,800 for the quartz and then another 1,500 for the backsplash. That's
Yep.
pretty similar.
Yep.
He's put some money into also putting quartz into the upstairs bathroom, so 3,100 here. Adding in two new sinks.
Yeah.
Guess these are
Yep.
miscellaneous. Yeah,
Miscellaneous. Yep. Then master bedroom. So new entry door. I think it had a hole in it or whatever. New quartz countertop, backsplash, purchase and install two undermount sinks, two faucets. That doesn't have shower though. That's
for the master.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure we're going to do frameless. So we'll have to confirm that with them. He might have it at the bottom too. We'll check. Now here's where the cost is a lot different.
Oh.
See that? So really, he's putting 14 in there, and that's to do vinyl, but this also includes the carpet, and it also includes the tile, I believe.
Yep. So it's okay. Yeah, we might need to add that up to really check it
Yeah,
out.
to break it out, right? Because
But
he's lumped all the flooring in together.
lumped all of it together where Mike broke it apart, but he did add the vinyl, whereas Mike didn't.
Yeah. So this would be with new LVP.
Okay. Replace outlets. Okay. Sales clean. There you go. Dumpster
And
fee.
we can also break down how they calculate this general contracting fee. It's a question I haven't asked yet. Pretty nominal.
Just a $700 payment. 708.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's the shower door.
There it is. Yeah, and that's purchase install frameless shower door. Man, those are spendy. 2,800 for one frameless.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't know if it said in that bid, but they're going to retile that shower too, right? Not just replace
Correct.
the glass. Okay.
Yep.
So that brings us to 62,000. So they're almost identical. They're about $700 off, $800 off. This one
Yep.
has a 7% discount, saving 4,300. We would just need to clarify a few things.
Correct.
So when you look at both of these, what stands out to you? Or
I mean, again, I think they're both similar, and it was kind of what I was expecting. They kind of fell right around the same mark. It would have been interesting to see the third one too, if we had that, because then
Yeah.
we really would have been able to tell if they all ended up around that 61K mark. That's the number, kind of where they spread it, whether they're putting a little bit more cost into the sheetrock or whether they're putting a little bit more into the paint. They're still kind of balancing out the same.
Yep.
So the third, yeah, if we get the third one too, we can always share that at the end and see where that one came in at, just for curiosity. The one thing that we want to do is just make sure that we go through these and a couple items like the electrical, that scares me a little bit, because Mike sent his guy in there and spent a couple hours in there really studying the electrical and making sure what the cost was going to be. It's not a huge difference. You're talking,
2,000.
$1,600 or so.
Yeah, a good two grand, give or take.
Yeah, two grand, give or take. So it's not huge. Also with the AC, I think Mike had about 4,000 in this one. I can't remember what it was in this one.
And Mike also mentioned that he's done those burn houses before, and he's like, dude, once they catch that smoke and you got to replace everything or else you never get it out. So
yeah,
that might be something
surprising. Yeah, on this one, I've walked a lot of burn houses in my time, and as soon as you step in, you get this overwhelming smell of the char. That one I didn't really have it, and luckily it's isolated to the upstairs portion mostly. So my fear of having that smell like that one Mike did for us in down south in Texas City, even after we replaced everything, reinforced those rafters, we actually went in there and did spray foam insulation to kind of try to mask the smell. Even after all of that, when the house was beautiful and flipped, we could still have a smell of that burn. So it's like
that's crazy. makes it a tough sell. What about using Kills It?
But yeah, potentially. We actually, what we did for that one is we went and bought something called an ozone machine,
Yep.
and we went and we ran it for 3 or 4 nights when all the contractors were out there. You just plug it in, you let it run all night, and it's meant to take it out, and kind of similar to Kills It or whatever. But
Yeah.
it does work some, but it's
Everybody
not.
thought it was a meth house.
Yeah, and like, you get houses which they're heavy smokers. Again, it's hard to that kind of permeates the house.
Yeah,
So
dude, we walked one that we were gonna flip, and it was like that. And I mean, where they removed the family pictures off the wall, there was squares where the
yeah,
smoke hadn't. Oh my God, nasty.
we've walked some. We walked one where she had probably 20 or 30 dogs in there, and they're all living upstairs, and they're peeing upstairs. You can imagine.
Ay, ay, ay.
Just
Oh,
going down the sheetrock and leaving holes.
that's disgusting. So with that being said, I think the one thing that hits me is like, I'm ready to go on this thing.
Yeah,
I bought it. It's ours. We can start whenever. It's sitting there. So like, whoever's really
yeah. So now the
ready to
questions I'm
go.
going to ask is, we trust these guys. We've done work with them. We've highly recommend on the other ones. What we want to do now is just this afternoon get on the phone to them and then iron out what their schedule's looking like, what their crews are looking like. Can they start this weekend or Monday? And then what's their estimated time frame to complete? I know Mike's was a little bit longer than this guy. I think he's telling us he can get it done in 3-4 weeks. Mike was longer, but he's also a realist and errs on the side of being conservative. So
Because he said 3 months,
yeah, so
and this guy
12
said
weeks
three
compared
weeks.
to 3-4 weeks. So we
So
need to see when their crews are available and really have a conversation with Mike and say, do you really think it's going to take you 12 weeks?
exactly.
We'd like to get this thing on the market, less than 8 weeks ideally.
Yeah, and Mike's a guy that you've used before, so there's that comfort, there's that
Mm-hmm.
confidence, and that's something I got with my contractors. I know once that budget comes in, unless there's something I add, it's basically gonna stick right
Yeah.
at that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's big when it comes to flipping, man. And I've read some of the horror stories in the comments and all that people, and some of these Facebook groups have just, I mean, actually I've had quite a few deals thrown my way of you want to buy this great deal. And then, I'm always asking you, what this seems too good to be like, what's going on? And every single one of them that has
You
been,
got something. Yeah.
well, everyone that was like being flipped and then all of a sudden for sale again was a contractor took off with the money. And it's just so,
One thing you can do is if you haven't worked, like, see, I would have enough faith in this company here on the second bid. If it was somebody I'm trying to vet and build a relationship with, they should have some jobs going on right now. They should have some active flips. Ask them to go walk 2 or 3 of the flips that they've got going on and,
yep.
and go and see their work. And, that's going to tell you everything you know. Or you can even get references. Ask them, a couple properties that have flipped, speak to that investor. Most of these are going to be flips. So once that investor tells you the address, you can pull it up on your, on the market and kind of see what the finishes were. So yeah, the contractors is a huge issue. And 90% of the time when we find a borrower gets in trouble, it's always the contractor that's been the issue. Why they're in a pickle. So
Do
yeah,
you
go.
have, you've been in the game. Another big question. Like, what's an easy way for these people to go out and find a contractor?
It's a good contractor is always going to work best off recommendations. And there's a lot of these contractors who kind of build their career around working with investors. So I would go onto, like, just like you did, finding deals. You can post, you can find local contractor groups, see who people are recommending, and even go to local meetups, local investor meetups. Some good contractors will go there, and again, I think looking at their work and kind of getting some references from prior investors is you really want to do it. You don't want to just speak to the first contractor that gives you a good bid, even if they're a real likable person at the job, and go with the bid. Go and check their work and check their references. But
Yep.
yeah, local meetups. Go into your local Facebook groups that are specific to your city. Omaha, real estate investing, and then post in there who's had good experience with contractors. Can I speak to anything? Get 3 or 4 of them to walk that first house with you. See who you vibe with. Same process here. Get those 3 bids. Go through them. Once you find a bid and a contractor you vibe with, then ask them like, "Hey man, do you mind if we travel around to some of the ongoing projects you have, just so I can take a look at them and kind of see what we're looking at? It might give me some good ideas." And there you go, man. You've
Yeah,
got.
that's a good point. I never thought about that.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
that,
then you're
that
ready to
holds
roll.
most people up. So, all right, cool. Well, let's.
Also, the how they do the payments, right? They're
Oh
all the
yeah,
contractors are going to want 50% up front. That's why would they not? It helps their liquidity, it helps their cash flow. They don't have to worry about it. If you have a good contractor, I don't know how, Ishmael, well, he really is helping you out because you're partners, right? But
Yep.
a lot of contractors, what they'll do is they're familiar with the draw schedules. So they're okay with smaller increments. Obviously, the first payment is going to go towards materials that they might need. But they can structure it in smaller payments where you're not putting big lumps up. Because what we found is contractors who do cause a problem, they take a big upfront payment, and then there's a disagreement within that first few weeks of what's being done or how fast it's being done. The GC gets peed off at the investor's peed off at the GC. They've already got 20K. They just take off, right? They don't come back. They pull their guys from the job site, and that's how you get in trouble.
Yeah,
So you're
and
paying. Your ideal is to pay them for work that's been. That's an ideal scenario where they've done the flooring or they've done the sheetrock, they've done the roof, and then you're paying them for the work that's been completed. That's the ultimate goal.
okay, I've been spoiled, yeah, because my contractor, he always just basically, I mean, we try and do 50% of it at least. Sometimes we've done even more before we even do that first draw. So we
I
only
mean,
do
on
two.
these forests, I think we didn't release that first draw till you were 90% done, right?
Yeah, 90% basically done. And then this one is going to be more of a typical situation. So basically our viewers, they need to find a contractor, get a good bid. It's going to align or be close with the hard money lender with you or whoever they use. And then from there, typical house flip looks like what with the contractor? 15% down. So that's like, okay, now whatever my closing costs are to get the hard money loan, I still need to be thinking about paying my GC something. And that's a conversation they need to have while walking, right? Hey, how much do you expect down?
Yep. Because
Because
it's going to
that's
affect
new to
you.
me. I haven't had to do that.
Yeah, it's going to affect your liquidity. So make sure that you're clear with the contractor how much they want up front. You know, if it's a 50% up front, you want to avoid that because if you have a $50,000 flip, that's 25K. You can still get that back to the draw process, right? Once he completes some of that work, but it's still going to be a lot more out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would
Yep.
say if you can structure your deal with your cash out of closing and your first initial contractor's payment sub 20K, your 10, 15 up to maybe 20K, that's a home run deal. And you're being replenished as you do that work, right? It allows you more liquidity and everybody's different. Every borrower's different. Some people might have, $200,000-$300,000 liquid and that small draw is not a big deal for
Hmm.
them, right?
Yep.
But some people might have 20, 30,000 and
Total.
getting that 10K back from the draw is really important that they're not sweating it. So it's always, getting with that contractor and figuring out what's their payment. But I would, even if I had that two or $300,000 liquid, I still would not want to have the GC being paid half of that work up front
Right.
because you're just opening yourself up to potential issues from the contractor walking with.
So 15% is a pretty typical. And then once he completes enough work, you can call in a draw and you can replenish yourself with that 15. And then anything else that he has finished or done, you can now just start paying him directly for his work.
Exactly.
Okay.
And once you build up some trust with that contractor, some of them are okay, like, work off a draw schedule. We used to have it when we had a bunch of flips going at once. We would pay them 5K a week.
Oh,
And that would basically cover everything. So he would start at the end of the week, we would pay him 5K, but they were knocking these things out pretty quickly. So yeah, again, it depends on your contractor and what you can arrange with them.
yep. Okay. Cool, man. Well, next step is calling these dudes and getting the demo going. I can't wait to go see
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
roof tear the roof off this mug, they say, the cool kids say.
And I guess we can estimate what's that third bid going to come in. Or are we going to go over or under 61K?
Okay, now last but not least, let's see. I'm going to just share the old screen. So we got
Is this your cash out of pocket?
yeah, I was gonna do that too, but also just we purchased it right now for 230, it was at 240,000. Crazy story is I'm like, hey, I forgot actually I was looking for a picture for a thumbnail for the YouTube channel, and I'm like, send me the address. And you sent it to me, so I looked it up on HAR or Zillow or whatever, and I'm like,
Oh
I
yeah.
text you, I'm like, dude, this thing's listed. You know what? You're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I was scared because I had already put $5,000 earnest money, and now I see it listed, and it was listed at $200,000.
Yeah.
So I was like, what in the hell is going on? And you're like, hold up, I'm going to use this for negotiation.
I tried to get you. I actually tried to get. I tried to get it at like two ten. Tried to get like 30K off, but they weren't having it. We got
And
got
let's
10K
not
off.
skip over that. Why and how? Because even before we saw it listed, you were trying to get it for cheaper. Like, what was your thought process?
I mean, my thought process on the flip is if I can get money off, I'm always going to try to get money off.
But
So
how do you do
well,
that? Like, what was your thought in your head? Like, oh, I'm going to do this tactic to try and knock it down a little bit.
so kind of the history on this particular house was it was a foreclosure. Once they sent me the numbers, we had already had an estimation of what it was going to cost to rehab the house, and just the numbers made sense. At 240 and what we were having at just completely made sense.
Right.
But then when you and I walked in, that was the first time I actually got in there, right? And they knew
Yep.
that was the first time we went in there. So my ammunition for that is, well, you kind of glossed over how much work needed to be done. We were estimating this at a certain amount. When we went in there, it was a little bit more. You have to work with us, to get a little bit off.
What did they
And
say?
then, well, initially it was a struggle, because they knew it was a good deal. But once they had that issue with their agent putting it on the market, then they knew that they messed up in terms of they had to give us something off. So,
Hey, good news is we got it for 10,000 less. So,
yep, exactly.
and guys, it's in my description of every single video and the channel. This is a free cash to close calculator that Hard Money Joe and his company made. So just click on it and there's no mouse traps or nothing, but you can use it. This is the best tool on the planet
We,
for
we yeah, we have something really exciting coming too. Our developers are building a flip profit calculator.
dude, that's awesome.
So it's going to be on here. It's going to have a lot of variables, so you can change the interest rate, the points, your title cost. It'll just be a little drop-down menu, and then you can estimate, holding time. You think it's going to take you 4 months, 5 months, and then it should give you a good estimated profit.
That's amazing. And everybody hits me up every day. How do I get a hold of Hard Money? Right here. You just use this free calculator. And actually, when I started, I was on this all day. I probably did 100. I would go to Facebook, find every deal I possibly could, and I would run it through here just so I started knowing my numbers. And it's really cool. So
And
when
this
we
is
bought,
applicable to most markets. I mean,
right.
your loan structure here might change. You need to figure out what loan structure you're on to be able to use it on the calculator. But the points and interest and all the costs are relatively similar. So it's still going to give you a good number. The one
Yep.
thing that we have refrained from doing is kind of alluding back to what we were talking about is we get hit up all the time from people in different cities saying, can I have a rehab sheet? Can I have a rehab estimator? Well, again, if the rehab numbers change that much, we don't feel too comfortable giving out a rehab sheet that might be applicable for Houston out in California because
Yep.
it's going to be very different.
But you do have, some connections with hard money lenders in other states and stuff. We've actually been able to help a few of the viewers with that. But real
Yeah.
quick, when you got it, it was actually a deal that an investor had, but then the hurricane came through, damaged a few of his properties. He couldn't close on it anymore. So you looked at the numbers, called me. You're like, I got a good one. And I was like, thank God, because I'm getting my ass kicked over here. But
I knew it was more up here.
it already had an appraisal through you guys. So we knew right away that low end, it was 407, right?
Might have been 403. Yeah, around that. 403
Okay.
or 403.
Oops. So we had and this is what you guys do with the calculator, but we'll show you what the profits are going to be too. So 403,000 is what the appraisal in hand. So we know right now, since he already was doing the loan, and this appraisal doesn't mean what it could sell for. This is just what they think it's worth, ARV. And we know that can't change. So that's really good because a lot of my flips, you go into it thinking what the ARV may be. And just like my Shore Acres one, it came in like 20 grand less than we thought. And it was like, oh shit. So it was a lot of money out of pocket. But this one we were way more sure. So then a 70% deal, right? So times 0.7. You got to be proud of me now, Hard Money Joe. I'm getting good at these. Is 282. Now we have a purchase price. So what I just go minus 230,000, right? And that leaves 52,000. So if you wanted the like most minimum out of pocket deal, it's 52,100 is where you would want to be with that rehab.
Yep.
403 230. So this is a exact 70% loan and you're about $9,000 out of pocket. I closed on it already. I think it was right around, it was like 11,000 maybe.
Mhm.
And it was because we went over a little bit higher on our budget. I think we had it
Well, it wasn't the budget on this one. We didn't account for it had a larger HOA fee.
That's right.
It was like a
HOA and
$780 HOA fee transfer, and then the taxes,
prorated taxes.
the prorated taxes, another extra. So yeah, it was right, very close, but
We were like
yeah, those are.
11,000 because of the prorated taxes and everything.
Mhm.
And I think I already went over that in a video, but just to show you guys, let's say, your rehab came in like ours, right around 62,000. As you can see there, I added 10 grand here. That adds 10 grand here, not a penny more. So when you're going through these deals, you're trying to find that ARV, what your purchase price is, and don't I used to get excited about I think it's worth 430, 440, and I would get excited about this on the front end, and then you get disappointed on the back end. I would actually on every deal be doing almost a lower ARV and basing it. So now what you do is if your budget's 62,000, then you're like, hey guys, this ain't a deal for me. I needed it 220, right? So if you purchase it now at 220 instead of 230, if you're able to negotiate that down, it drops you right back down to this 9,000 in closing costs. So you're doing these numbers in multiple different ways to figure out of pocket, but also to go back and try and negotiate this purchase price down, which I'm not that good at. But
You'll get
all
better
said
at
and
it.
done, I mean,
But that's why we love this tool because it allows you to real time, adjust your offer once you have that rehab bid. So, and another point I would make is that I've always hated the term ARV. It's so industry standard because you're assuming that 403,000
yep,
is the finite value, right? Oh, it's what
right.
an appraiser put it at. But really, it should be after repair opinion because you have an opinion of what it's worth. I have an opinion of what it's worth, and then the appraiser has an opinion. An appraiser is not some AI bot that has the exact value it's going to sell for. They're looking at it the same way we are. Obviously, they're trained a little bit better, but they're also putting an opinion. So your 230 in Laporte, we both feel that it's going to sell higher. And then once the realtor came in, and also it's just a good barometer to set that loan value at.
Yep. So right away we're at 403. That's the ARV, and you and I both think, there is a chance we could get this thing up more, maybe
Yep.
415, 425, 430, something like that.
Well, we
So there
got we
is a
got the one 430 that sold. I think it was like
yep.
100 square feet bigger, but it was dated. It was the original granite. It was the original. So there's some argument there that
Which is cool because this neighborhood is like when I opened it up, it was just blasted with solds and pendings. And there's a lot of listings because our market has changed. So I'm not expecting it day one to sell. But the good news is, and I'm learning this with flips now, is like trying to flip houses that don't have neighboring comps is a bad idea. Like find these areas where
Mhm.
there's a shitload of comps because one, stuff sells there, but two, like these numbers are so much easier. So I sent him one that just sold the exact same floor plan. I think 420 something, 430, and it wasn't even updated. So we got a good feeling we're going to be above this 403, but even worst case scenario 403, minus our purchase price of 230, and then let's say we do go we have a 62K and a 58K. We go middle of the road or even highest one. We go with the 62. We got 111. We had about 11,000 in closing costs and all that. So you're basically right at about 100 grand.
And
Not
we have
including
our we have
realtor
our back
fees.
end fees. You have the realtor fee when you sell it, the closing
Right.
costs, and those kind of things.
So there's a good chance of, on the low end making about 80K. If we can sell this thing more in that 420, 430 range or more,
Mhm.
it's a six-figure flip. So really
And
excited
for
about this one.
us, yeah, 400K in our market is what we would higher end.
Yep.
So sometimes you have to get a little bit aggressive on the higher end ones when you price them because your buyer pool is smaller. So if you have a higher end house and it has attractive days on market, it's a really good sign because especially with interest rates being higher, once you get into that 350, 400 range, as you guys know, that it shrinks your buyer pool of who can afford to buy the property. So
Well,
sometimes you have to go.
yeah, but there's two sides of that story because I did the cheap, the 150 to 180, and there's no buyers there either. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's a middle ground. And the one thing you and I both know about this area, because we're not real estate agents, we're not steering, is the schools right there in Spring are just phenomenal. So, like,
Mhm.
really nice schools, really nice neighborhoods, they do sell, and there's a lot of solds right in there. Whereas, like, where I was at, there wasn't people who could afford 180. So I actually had people
Yeah.
interested in the property. They just couldn't get loaned
Financing.
on. So
Yeah. And if they are getting financing, generally what they have to do in that price point is they're going FHA.
FHA, yep.
Some will be VA too. But if you've sold a house FHA, you know that it's harder. It's more of a process. It takes longer. They're more bureaucratic when it comes to the home inspections, that kind of
Yep.
stuff. So it can be a challenge.
Subscribe to follow us on our newest flip, the burn one. And I'm gonna actually be interviewing, and I'm gonna be with Joe side by side on this whole thing. So throughout the flip process, design, I'm actually gonna bring my wife back in, do design. This is what she's meant for, like our first one, and then tracking the entire before and after process, plus listing it and everything that the way that Joe's done it 100 times. I'm excited to learn with you, man. It's
Have
gonna be
you have you taken her to the house yet?
Nope, I haven't even been over there yet. I own it. I went once and just sitting. I've had a million
She'll,
things going though.
yeah, she'll probably like getting a design and file and
I'm gonna
everything.
take her in there and yep, and we're gonna go through colors and all that too.
Cool.
So awesome,
All right.
homie. All right, homies. Did you guys learn something again? Comment down below something you learned or a follow-up question for hard money. Joe, sometimes sitting there with these people who do this, it comes very easily to them. They're typically not the ones putting out the content for free. So I enjoy being around people like this and hard money Joe, and I'm so pumped that he wanted to do this one for me. So the obvious thing is I got a special announcement. Dude, you won't even believe it. I got there's Perry right there. He's a wholesaler. He's probably got a deal, but their deals aren't usually the best right now. You guys are more important. I'll call them back. I know you guys are probably wanting to hear that, but screw it. Let's hear it. Hey, what's up, Harry?
What's up, Jackson? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. What you got?
So I have a Kingwood deal it's a 4.2.5, 3,000 square feet on a 9,000 square foot lot, 1988 build for 175. ARV is around 450. The only thing is this has been fire damaged.
Oh, I saw that one. Dude, when did it catch on fire?
I'm not too sure. It was due to a generator in the garage.
They were running a generator in the garage?
Yeah.
If it didn't burn down, it probably would have killed them. Good night. That's scary. Okay.
Yeah. And this was not showing, so it's a first come, first serve.
It is?
Yeah, it's a first come, first serve.
All right. Let me, I could probably go take a look at that today. So
Yeah, it's pretty open. Let me see the access. So,
shoot me over the private remark, like the address and the showing. And I actually have to go somewhere here in a little bit. Maybe on the way back, I can stop and take a look at it.
yeah, for sure. Let me see.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna let you know the access because it's obviously open.
Yeah.
But
yeah, just message me all that stuff, dude. And I think I can go there today.
All right, sounds good. Just let me know what you think, or if it's something that you like.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
All right, perfect. Thanks, homie.
All right.
All right, later.
Take care. All right, bye.
All right, so you never go out like it's easy to hear price and ARV 175 and 450. Holy shit! But don't worry, I'll get to the special. But I can't plan this stuff, guys. I'm literally being as honest as I possibly can. That was just a call from a wholesaler. It's one that he's been on this channel multiple times. He only calls me now with certain areas because I just don't want to go anywhere else. So I knew it was probably something, but it is a burn house. Yes, I'm working on a burn house now, but I think I saw the pictures of this one. It's pretty torched, and I got to look at the area too because it might not be the best area. But regardless, that's probably going to be coming up. I'll go film that today. But the special announcement, and guys, here's what we're going to do. I'm not promising anything, but Hard Money Joe has been racking his brain. He goes, man, we're getting so many reach outs from you guys, you viewers, and we would love to help every single person. Some of you are just not ready to flip yet, just so beginning, right? Don't have the capital, don't have the contractors, and looking for the training. We had to turn down the Ground Up Academy. I literally had hundreds and hundreds of people reaching out, and I can't manage that. And make anything go. And then I realized that's going to take me away from everything I want to do, which is just house flipping and documenting for you guys. So the Ground Up Academy is going away. You guys have been watching these videos. I apologize for that, but I didn't realize what it was going to be. I thought a few people would reach out and call, but secondly, we have had these reach outs, and there's a lot of you wanting to get into house flipping. We may, and don't reach out about it, I'll let you guys know on this channel, so subscribe. We may just start doing maybe like a monthly class, like a Zoom room for free, and we can do live Q&A or just have an actual course structure like teaching hard money loans from Joe. I don't know if that's coming, but the one thing that is becoming apparent is Joe showed a spreadsheet today of a bunch of the hard money lenders. So he's in a hard money lending community, a mastermind. And so he works with lenders all across the country. So when a lot of you have been reaching out, he's been able to connect those people. Here's how we're going to make it more simple. Down in the description of this video and my about section, you will see it. It's marked the ground up application. In there, we're going to be asking specific questions of the capital that you have. Do you have a builder? What market are you in? Where are you at in house flipping business? With that information, we're going to be able to connect you more than likely with a preferred lender and even shop the best rates for you. And also, we have the ability, we're working on some, with Lifestyles, the contractor that we use here that is not a national program, but they are in multiple markets. So possibly hooking you up with a solid GC contractor. So what we want to do is just start getting that information. If you look up at the ground up application, you can go and fill all that information out, and then we'll reach back out to you as soon as we can. And mainly, Hard Money Joe is spearheading this, and we're going to really try and connect you guys with good GCs and good lenders. And again, I'm not making anything on that. It's just kind of creating a community that can help you guys. So look for that application down below, and in the About section, fill it out. What's the worst that can happen? We can possibly help you, connecting you with some great vendors in this space. And I think what I'm going to do with this channel as it grows is try and just bring that together. How can I bring a bunch of people that can help, lenders, GCs, and build a community of that, right? And we can hand, referrals back and forth or whatever it is. It's in its ground up phase, just like my business. If you haven't hit the like button yet on this video, can you please just hit the like button, comment down below whatever questions you have for Hard Money Joe, or if you learned something, we'd love to see that. Now, many of you are just catching me. I've been documenting my house flipping business from the ground up. So if you start at video 1 and you just watch it through, it is literally from A to Z exactly how I started. So everything. But if you're just like, okay, I need to know more about a budget and what it really looks like at a house, this video right here, me and my wife, we break down the budget with our contractor. We go through the hard money loan. We break down every aspect of a budget on the actual job site of our very first flip. So this is going to answer just about every question you got.